and welcome to another episode of It's All About Arts. My name is Amanda Lamoureux Smith, and I will be your host for this evening. I wanted to make a shout out to Glenn Williams. He is not with us today, but I wanted to say a huge congratulations to him. He just had the debut of his new album. He collaborated with a bunch of very talented musicians, and so you can find out more about the CD and where to get it through our Facebook page, which is www.facebook.com/talkarts. So we are coming to you live from the BNN Studios, which is a state-of-the-art building. It was actually the old power station for the MBTA. So we have created a building inside of a building. We still have some of the old charm of the doors and some of the brick, so that's really, really cool. We also have a state-of-the-art computer lab on our first floor where you can come in and take classes for Final Cut Pro, learn how to do editing, learn how to manage TV shows, and maybe one day you'll end up on here. So thank you all for tuning in. I also wanted to make a shout out to Main Streets. So Main Streets is an awesome organization that's nonprofit. What they do is they work with new businesses, new and existing businesses around the Boston area to make sure that they're targeting appropriate to their audiences, making their storefronts appropriate, and making sure that they're really adding value to the economy through Boston. So all of these people are volunteers, which means they're not getting paid, they're doing this out of the kindness of their heart. It's really community driven. So if you see anybody with a Main Street t-shirt on, I want you to thank them for both Glenn and myself, because it's an awesome organization. We have, this is also a live call-in show, so if anybody in the area wants to call in, ask some questions for any of our guests, or to perhaps tell us what they're doing artfully in the community, the number is 617-708-3290. We have a very special co-host this evening named Kevin White, so without further ado, thank you for joining us, Kevin.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so are you prepared for the snowstorm?
You kind of have to be prepared for the snowstorm. We were just, my wife and I were just talking about how wonderful it was that all the snow melted on our front yard.
Finally.
Just in time for another 18 inches to be laid on top of it. So.
Now, you are originally from New York, correct?
I am a New Yorker.
And how does that compare with the snow volume that we receive here?
Well, it sort of doesn't at all. I recall 2 years ago getting 10 feet of snow in New England for the first time, and that actually blew me away.
Right.
The best thing about being a New Yorker is the snow comes, but you never have to touch it. Everybody else clears it for you, and here, get your hands on a shovel or a snow thrower,
and put a
off
cone,
you go.
or otherwise your spot is taken.
That's right.
So you are an entrepreneur, and you have your own business, correct? So why don't you tell us the name and kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I am owner of an event agency called XPL. It's about 5 years old. And we design experiences. Most people are used to hearing the term events, but events can mean so many different things. We deal in the live. So if you're trying to achieve something, be it marketing, be it fundraising, be it something that builds morale or communication within your own organization, we help groups do that through events. So it could be anything from team building to product launches, fundraisers, galas, etc.
Now, you bring a lot of creativity, from what I understand, to your clients in terms of building the events and tailoring it around their specific needs and wants. Where do you think your creativity comes from, and how do you apply it to the events, to any given event that you have?
Well, one of the things that we always like to tell everybody who's working for us is always keep your eyes open. Right? So life is probably the best inspiration for events. It's hard to say that you should just grab something that you've noticed in a magazine or what have you. Events are really recreations or enhancing what we get out of life every day. So be it music, be it visual stimulation, but also what gets people excited, what gets them emotionally attached. And it's those emotional moments which really make events probably the best device for transforming an audience. So we like to say, pay attention when you're feeling emotional, because what brought the excitement, the sadness, the exhilaration, the aha moment to you, and remember what that was, and let's try and strategically recreate that for our clients. But then there's also a lot of, events are very visual. You're involved in things that have environments. And so we like to make sure that when we are in either another country, we understand the style and the general feeling that people have when they're in that country, and try and recreate that, not physically, but on a level of reaction. We try and create that. Museums are a great place. Art is great in all of its forms, in visual art, in music, and certainly in storytelling.
Of course. Storytelling is big now these days, right?
Plays a very big role. Humans really react to the way, not only what happens in a story, but the way people tell a story. And so it's crucial for us in what we do to be able to make that happen very, very well for our clients, so that their audience is kind of pulled in and gets it and understands it, makes a connection to it. So I consider storytelling, growing up in an Irish family, you kind of consider storytelling as much an art form as just about anything else.
It sure is. So have you always been interested in events? How did you kind of find your way into that?
When I started, events, they existed. Events have existed since
For sure, yeah.
The first humans created the first ceremony to do anything. But I don't know that the industry was as formal and certainly as recognized as it is now as a device. I think they were just kind of like, oh, events. And most people go to, oh, you do parties. And it's like, not exactly.
Right.
But I think the interest in creating a moment was always there for me. I think I always got in trouble at school because I always had to make the comment that would make everybody either laugh or blush or whatever it was. There was this notion of have a moment, have an experience. That's just in my DNA.
Right.
But I think it was probably once I got into college that I started truly seeing what you can do when you intentionally design something to happen for people.
And apply that natural instinct into something that is both fulfilling for you and is a way of a living,
Yeah, it is fantastic. People, some people tend to think it's very glamorous and that it's off the cuff and it just happens. I think I crush some people's dreams when I say event producers spend 90% of their time in front of a computer.
Right.
There's an insane amount of work that has to be done with it, but it taps into probably 3 or 4 areas of your brain that most people don't get a chance to work on. The logistics of things, the creativity of things, the emotion of things.
Details.
And then you are forced by the sheer nature of events to focus on details as much as humanly possible.
Right.
So it really makes everybody run on a lot of different engines throughout the day. And I think that's great in life to have those parts of the brain stimulated by what you do. Now,
do you ever encounter a client that is severely non-detail oriented and doesn't want to walk through the process with you for that?
So I'm going to say this, events are full of humans.
Right.
Right, so you get everything, and I will say you get everything and then it's amplified because there's so much what people feel is pressure in events. You don't get a second chance. It's going to happen live. So there's a lot of tension.
And a lot of money involved.
A lot of money, and sometimes
right.
not. But so yes, you have every mix that's in there. You have clients who couldn't organize their way out of bed in the morning, and you have service providers who are the exact same way. And I will say this: sometimes event producers are the exact same way. You wonder
how they got into the business.
How did they get in, and how are they staying in business?
How are you making money?
Because it's so communal that it takes the client, the planner, the providers, all to be working together. If the combination works amongst all of them, then it eventually gets done. But everybody plays a role. And I think sometimes that lack of focus or lack of detail can lead to great things, because if you grab one vision and everybody locks onto it and it just goes down the tracks the way it was originally planned, you lose these serendipitous moments of coming up with amazing things.
Right.
And so I think that sometimes a little bit of chaos helps. And we're masochists in a way, so sometimes a little chaos is what we crave.
Right.
That's the juice, the energy of bringing calm to chaos.
Right. Well, that's how I feel personally, at least, about abstract art. It's me recreating the chaos in my head and my life kind of onto something where it's separate from me and on something so I can separate from it and look at it and be at peace. So I do think that the chaos in life is extremely tied to art, depending upon the artist that you're speaking to.
Sure.
So you began doing events in New York, right? And you really kind of established your career there?
Yes.
And you also became president of a very highly established international events group?
That's right, International Live Events Association.
Now, did you become a member and then kind of work your way up along the chains?
That's right. So I started in events out in New Jersey, near Princeton, New Jersey, and became a member of the association and latched on to the Philadelphia area groups. Princeton was closer to Philly than to New York City. And so I got sort of my first years in events. I spent a lot of time in Philadelphia, eventually moved my way back to New York City, was involved there, and that's where eventually I sort of rose up the ranks to eventually serve as president.
Right.
So although I say up the ranks, when you're president, you're actually low man on the totem pole, because you have to make sure you're taking care of everybody else first.
Right.
You come last, and so. But it was I think a labor of both commitment and love, and a celebration of what we do to give back.
Right.
That's a huge part of it, is giving back to something that gives you as much happiness and financial success in life. I think that's a bigger joy, is to volunteer to do something that you're passionate about.
Absolutely. And how long have you been in the industry for?
22 years.
22 years. That's a long time.
It is.
So now you have moved to Boston.
Yes.
And now you're, recreating your trajectory of your career here. Now, what are some of the aspirations, or what are some of the things that you can see doing with the Boston market?
Well, one of the things that excites me about the Boston market is, people often say, well, it's sort of it feels a little plain, right? It feels homogenous, certainly compared to like a New York City, where there's so much variety and so much energy sort of pushing through it. Where there is energy and creativity here is in the tech sector. And so it is, this version of Silicon Valley out west. It's sort of our own wild, wild west of tech that is emerging. And so it's interesting to see a couple of things. One is to see what tech bubbles up. And it's not just all new. GE just moved here. So you're looking at an established center of technology in Boston, which is great. The other thing is what products are going to bubble up. But the third thing is watching them find their footing on marketing. It has become so digital. Everything in marketing now is some type of app or software-driven algorithm that people are forgetting about what it is to actually market face-to-face.
To people,
To
directly,
people.
yeah.
And at a marketing event, we told somebody what we do, and they said, "You mean so these events are streamed?" And I said, "No, I'm meeting you right now at a marketing event."
The way they used to do it.
I said, "Yeah." And so sometimes it's lost on it. So it's going to be interesting to, as a marketing agency, to bring a lot of the new tech along. I know some of the established tech really do a good job of utilizing live events.
And I know that you have done some major events with some pretty heavy price tags for companies, but you can also work with local people too, right? You can do events big and small and kind of work with whatever market or whatever opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our goal isn't to work with the biggest.
Right.
Our goal really is to work with clients that want to take a bold step forward in what they've been doing. And that can come in the form of messaging or type of events or what have you. And then with organizations that are growing. The ones that are established usually have their own way of doing it. And it's the fluidity, it's the chaos of small and medium-sized businesses that is fantastic, and that allows you to take that journey with them of let's talk and strategize what you should be doing live. And so for us, we have literally run the gamut, and not just of corporations. Boston's great here because we've done a lot of work with universities as well, and this is a big university town.
And a big arts town.
And a big arts town, which we're going to find out.
All right, cool. So where can people find out more information about your company and get in contact with you directly?
Sure. Easiest thing to do is to go online. Our website, www.2xpl.com, that's how you get to XPL, is the easiest way to get in touch with us. So people can jump online, find out a little bit more about what we do, and easy form to fill out to get in touch with us via email, simplest way, or give a call.
Give a call. Awesome. So we are going to take a quick commercial break, and I'll be coming back with another episode of Weekly Motivation. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Weekly Motivation. I hope everybody is prepared for the snowstorm and that everybody's gone grocery shopping already, because I can speak from experience that we went a little bit earlier today and it was chaos. So hopefully everybody's stocked up and ready to enjoy the snowstorm. There'll likely be some school cancellations, work cancellations, so snuggle up, get some hot chocolate, and maybe watch your favorite reruns on demand. So the quote for this week has to do with finding your passion and really making sure that you're working hard once you found it. So the quote for today is, even if you are on the right track, you will still get run over if you just sit there. So once you find something that works for you and it fulfills your passion and you're really making progress on it, it's forever a working effort. You need to reach and go out of your comfort zone again and again, because no matter how successful you are in a given moment, tomorrow is a new day. So making sure that you're prompting yourself and you're really focused on motivation and initiative, because that's the only way that you're going to continue your success once you found it. So we are going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we have a second guest, so stay tuned. Hey everyone, thanks for staying with us. We are back coming at you live from BNN Studio. We are only halfway there, so we have the rest of the hour, and we have a very special guest to introduce, someone who is a friend of the team here at BNN Studios, and it's all about art. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Suzanne Schultz. Hello, Suzanne.
It's great to be here.
Yes,
thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So, an interesting tidbit that I found out today, you were once a co-host as well for the show.
I was, yes,
Yes.
many years ago.
And how long did you do the gig for?
I think it could have been almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah, it was
It's
really
fun, right?
It was wonderful.
Yeah, and is that
Yeah.
how you got connected with Glenn and Janice?
Yeah, a woman who I was working with, Lisa Bean, who's very connected here in Boston. She did a lot for me over the years and still does in terms of introducing me to people I should know. Introduced me to Glenn and Janice, and I ended up here.
So you were the co-host, and then now you are actually one of the major contributors for our talent coordination for the show. Is that correct?
Yes, I feel very fortunate to be able to send many of my clients here to be interviewed by you guys.
Well, you guys do a great job because I'm always impressed with the different levels of skill sets that the artists come on, and how many different modes of art we're able to kind of showcase and let the viewers, get a feel for the artist, where their inspiration comes from, and maybe even find out some new techniques that they weren't aware of. So that's really cool. So you are the CEO of Canvas Fine Arts.
Correct.
Correct. So how did you? Are you an artist yourself?
I am not.
You are not, which is even more interesting. So how did you get involved with the fine art scene, and what?
Well, it's a little bit of a story you wouldn't expect. I was a housewife, if that's still an appropriate term to use, I don't know, but I was a stay-at-home mom for 20 years. I never had a job, and after my kids grew up, I met an artist, and I think he was probably the first artist I ever met, and I was just really blown away by his story of the struggle of not being able to do anything with his art. So naively, I started a business for this guy. And I said, I'm going to help you. And so he was my first client. And I'm turning 10 this year, so it's been 10 years. And I've worked with over 100 artists. We have art and collections all over the world. We've done major commissions, artists and museum shows reviewed by the New York Times, Boston Globe, Art New England, magazine covers.
That's
a lot
really
of neat
exciting.
things, yeah.
We're connected on Facebook, and I see every time you post a photo, I'm like, oh my God, she's with this person, she's with this person, all over Boston. So it's really an interesting story how you saw the potential in someone and saw how difficult it was for him to showcase his art, because as many of you know, getting your art shown and having someone believe in you can often be a struggle. So sometimes it takes one person to believe in you, and also for you to believe in yourself, which is what you did.
I think that's a big part of it, is getting them to believe in themselves and to make their own opportunities and not wait for the phone to ring or wait for something to happen, because you really have to just go out there and, like you were saying earlier, you have to do it yourself. You could have one good day or have one sale or one gallery show, but tomorrow's a new day and you have to just get up and do it all over again.
I also think it is important to have really thick skin, because not everyone is going to love or appreciate your art, but that doesn't matter. There are plenty of people out there, and all it takes is a few people to really understand where your art is coming from, and then that spreads. And
well, that's the key. I tell them you have to find out who your person is. Don't apply to every gallery, do your research.
Right.
Even with my alternative venues, which I call them, furniture stores or restaurants or, hotels, not every hotel is going to be right for every artist. So it's up to you to find out who stays at that hotel, who shops at Thomas Moser. That's a different kind of person than the person who shops at M2L. You have one store that's mid-century modern and the other one that's, handcrafted American furniture. So if you don't do that homework, you're not going to ultimately have the success you might want.
Totally.
So yeah, it's not random. I mean, you really have to do the work. And once you start doing the work, you really start seeing the success. And it's not that hard. Right. It's actually kind of fun. It's like a game.
Right. It is like a game. And you also do some public relations, is that correct?
Yeah, I think I actually had to throw the word public relations in for people to understand what I do, because a lot of the shows that I do, I consider PR, and I always ask my artists, what do you expect to get from this? We don't measure success equally with everything we do.
Of course.
Maybe success for this would be a sale, or maybe it's meeting a person, or maybe it's getting a review. So I think the PR thing, people kind of understood it, because I'm not a gallery, I'm not an art dealer, I'm not an art consultant. I'm kind of a hybrid. So once I put that PR in, people understood what I do more. And, I do try to get them press. Again, we've been reviewed by a lot of, pretty impressive publications, but also just getting a story in, Spirit Magazine or The Improper Bostonian, or all these amazing magazines that real people read,
right.
Is kind of neat too.
Very neat, yeah.
The reviews are validating for you as an artist in terms of your career, but some of the other publications, they just get people to see what you're doing, and the more
What you've been up to,
exposure.
yeah. People can follow your career.
Yeah.
So how do you recruit artists? Do you find them? Do they find you? Is it a mix of both?
I should be finding them more. Again, what do they say? Something about a cobbler, their kids have no shoes or something.
Yeah, or the painter with
I
the
don't take
house
my
that's
own
painted.
advice about I should be doing more of my own PR and going out there more. They seem to find me, for the most part. Word of mouth, a lot of it is, I saw an ad of yours from 7 years ago. That's how long artists wait to make a move. 7 years. You've been carrying that ad around. There's a little fear about engaging with somebody, because once you do, then it's real. Once you start working with me, you might have a show within the first month.
And people are going to be looking and critiquing, and you
Yeah.
got to throw yourself out there.
You guys just had Ruth Brownstein on a week or so ago. She hasn't really shown in a while, and she's coming back to her studio, getting back out there. So one of the first things that we've done, after a long hiatus in her career, is a show at City Hall, and she had a private audience with Julie Burrows. That's a big deal. Not everybody gets to spend 45 minutes with Julie Burrows, the head of our arts and cultural in Boston, and just have her look and talk and listen to you. So I try to make those things happen for my artists as well.
Right.
Things that, it's not a sale or it's not a this, but it's a really significant experience.
Promotion in their career, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So for those people who are out there watching or listening now, and they have interest in pushing themselves out of their comfort zone, where can they get into contact with you?
Suzanne at canvasfinearts.com.
Perfect.
Yes.
So you are here to promote a couple different people for upcoming shows. So why don't we talk a little bit about that?
Okay, so we do have this snowstorm coming, which is throwing a little bit of a wrench into my perfect plan. But I'm working with two amazing people. One of them is Tom Butterfield. He is the director of Masterworks Museum, which is in Bermuda. And people don't probably associate Bermuda as a place that there would be a museum, like an incredible museum. But Bermuda is a pretty cultural place. You have a lot of expatriates from all over the world living there, and they do have a lot of incredible artists and an incredible art history, which is very similar to our art history in New England. So Tom is actually arriving tomorrow, and he was scheduled to do this talk on the similarities between New England and Bermuda's art history at the Copley Society tomorrow night, which is going to be rescheduled. And then he's going to be speaking at the St. Vital Club on Thursday night, which is, I believe, the oldest art organization in the country.
Wow.
It's been around since, I believe, the early 1800s, and it's on ComAv, so he'll be doing that talk there. And in between, he has curated a show called Plein Air Reimagined with New York artist Beth Barry, and so we're having that reception on Wednesday night at 100 Arlington Street.
Cool. And Kevin had a great question earlier about Tom Butterfield in terms of what he was speaking about for the engagements. So could you go into a little bit more detail about, especially for the one that was going to be rescheduled?
Yeah, so pretty much Bermuda and New England share a lot of the same artists. Wyeth and Winslow Homer, Georgia O'Keeffe, Marston Hartley. A lot of people who were inspired by, the light on the North Shore or Provincetown. In the winters would sail over to Bermuda and they just keep painting. They were so passionate about it. So one of the things Tom has done, and he is the founder of Masterworks and is turning 30 this year. So they've been around a long time. He's been honored by Buckingham Palace for one of his programs, and that is, I always say this word wrong, repatriotizing artwork that was created in Bermuda. And then, the artist leaves with their painting, and, now the estates and families are sending it back to the museum. One of the recent acquisitions was an incredible portrait, a photograph of Winston Churchill, which was done by renowned photographer Joseph Karsh, whose widow lives here in Boston, Estrelita Karsh, and she gifted that to the museum. Now, Karsh spent a lot of time in Bermuda in the 40s. He didn't do the Winston Churchill portrait there, but he did a lot of work there. none of it really documented, but, you know, so they're building this just incredible collection of these, you know, world-renowned painters. So it's definitely a world-class museum. And it's nestled in the botanical gardens down in Bermuda. So, I mean, it's beautiful.
That's awesome. Now, I believe we have some images.
We do, yes.
Can we throw those up on the screen? And so, okay, so tell us a little bit about this one.
Okay, so this is a Copley Society where we were supposed to have our talk tomorrow night, but we're having a nor'easter instead, but it will be rescheduled. The Copley Society is also one of the most renowned and oldest organizations in the U.S. They have hundreds of artists in there. It's a beautiful place to go. It's on Newbury Street, and you know, everybody should pop in, and I will let you know when he'll be back to speak there.
Yeah, that'll be great.
Okay, so this is Beth Berry. So she, as a child, was very inspired. Her first time on an airplane, when she looked out the window, you know, when you look down and everything looks geometric and different shapes and different color blocks. So you can see that sort of inspiration in her work. So this is one of her pieces, which is hanging at Liquid Art House right now for the show Tom Butterfield curated called Plein Air Reimagined. And we are having that reception on Wednesday night, 6 to 7:30. We're going to be having rum swizzles in honor of Bermuda. So, and that's 100 Arlington Street. So that's one of her pieces hanging there.
And that's open to the public?
It is, yes. So here's a few more of her pieces over there as well. So Liquid Art House is, I believe it's about 2 years old now. It's a 10,000 square foot restaurant gallery. It's gorgeous, beautiful. They have always amazing artists showing in there.
More restaurant or more gallery?
Both. It was built as both, you know, which is unique because a lot of times restaurants then become galleries.
Right.
But this was an intended gallery restaurant. Their chef, Johnny Sheehan, incredible. The food is just...
What type of food?
Oh, gosh.
Sorry.
A mixture. Yes, I had
Wonderful
Brussels.
food.
It was
Wonderful
wonderful.
food.
Thank you. I don't know if I could tell you exactly what it is.
That's okay.
I'm going to say it's probably some kind of fusion, right? Because everything's a fusion now. But I know the Brussels sprouts were delicious.
I love Brussels sprouts. Alrighty, and we have a next one?
So this is Liquid Art House as well. So when you walk in, they have this gorgeous Venetian chandelier. I mean, the whole place is just stunning. And the neat thing about Liquid Art House is everything in there is for sale. So if you did want to buy that chandelier, it could be arranged. And this is the outside of Masterworks Museum in Bermuda. So it is a lovely building.
Do we know where on the island it's located?
Right outside of Hamilton.
Okay.
Nice.
Oh, and there we are.
And there we are.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So do you have anything else that you'd like to tell the viewers out there about Canvas Fine Arts, or what type of work that you showcase there, or?
Well, basically, you know, Canvas Fine Arts represents artists of all different, you know, emerging, mid-career, all different styles. We're all over the city. I'm going to be going to New York soon. I've taken a studio there, so I'm expanding.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah, expanding opportunities for my people.
Nice.
Yeah, we've been showing in Provincetown. So a lot of exciting things on the horizon.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to take a quick break, and we will come back and close the show, so stay tuned. everyone. Thanks for staying tuned in. We're just going to do a quick wrap up after our co-host for this evening, Kevin White. You got to know a little bit better, as well as Suzanne Schultz. So we just wanted to tell everybody to keep in the forefront of your brains and minds. People overseas, whether it's brother, sister, mother, daughter, keep them in your mind and say some prayers that they come home safe. Glenn Williams will be back next Monday, so we will have our regular scheduled programming. And also, you can hear us streaming live through the week on WBCA on the radio, and also you can watch us live on the website www.bnn-TV.org. So I wanted to thank everybody for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Thanks, guys.